did you notice my shirt?
Nice. Max Rebo and
Yeah,
the
Droopy
Droopy
McCool.
McCool.
We
Hell yeah.
looked up I have like that old visual guide from like the 90s of Star Wars, like the original trilogy. And they
Yeah.
have one on the Cantina band, and they have Max Rebo and a little description on him and stuff. And I looked it up. Droopy McCool. This has been his name since the 90s. Droopy McCool has been
Not a
around
great,
since
not
the
a great
90s.
name.
It was
They
great.
weren't great at names in the 90s.
Max Rebo. Come on.
How sad are you now that we're just never going to see Max Rebo again?
We will see him again. He didn't die. He was purposely not in the Cantina thing when it blew up in Boba Fett.
Yeah,
Swear to God. Watch that episode. When the bomb goes off, he's not in the Cantina.
I will do a burrito bet with you that he does not come back.
Oh, hands down. Burrito bet. It's going to be years, but he's going to show up in like the...
Shake on it.
Check on it. He's going to show up in the Lando show. Lando's going to walk into a bar and he's going to be like, hey, Max. And he's going to flip him some credits. And then Max
Roger
Rebo's
made out
like,
of Tatooine, Max.
yeah, boom.
No,
That's
it's
what
not
it
gonna
is.
happen.
Or Max Rebo maybe
Although I
joins
guess the
Lando's
beef-
crew.
I'm never going to get my burrito because it's just going to be an indefinite amount of time, but whatever.
Yeah, you'll never actually get your burrito because in Star Wars, everybody comes back. Everybody.
I just love...
Hello and welcome to the Dagoboys. Today we are talking about Obi Wan Part 5. We're giving our impressions and just talking about it because Hunter and I haven't talked about it. That's Hunter Phillips. My name is Jake Burke. And we're going to talk about the fifth part of Obi Wan. We've got one episode left.
Heck yeah.
You just watched it. I've only seen it once. Normally I've watched it twice by the time we do this.
Yeah.
Now, Hunter, I want to know, how'd you feel when it opened up with a young Anakin Skywalker?
Well, young in quotes.
I mean, he doesn't
but
look good. He doesn't look good. Let's just get past it.
I can look past it.
Yeah.
I think it was awesome. It was very,
awesome.
very cool that we see him train with Obi-Wan on that. What looks like it's a very similar platform to the opening of the series with the younglings.
Yeah.
But very cool. Very, very cool.
And there are people thinking that the building he's looking at in the very beginning is Padme's apartment building.
Oh, interesting. That's pretty cool.
Looks like a similar building, which is kind of funny. So back then
that fits.
he was stalking.
The creepy as that.
Yeah, always.
So the timing of it is weird because it's obviously episode 2 Anakin, short hair.
Yeah.
But it's before his fight with Dooku because he has both of his human hands.
Yeah. It's got to be before episode 2 he's training because he becomes a Jedi Knight like really quickly after episode 2.
Yeah.
Like in the Clone Wars they like make him a Jedi Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just thought that's just an interesting time for them to choose to
I thought so
have
too.
that scene.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool though. I really liked it. And it shows you kind of it shows you like kind of how I don't know, like douchey Obi-Wan kind of was to him at sometimes. It really influenced like the side that we always talk about, like Anakin needed a father, not a brother. Or like the way Obi-Wan is like training him is so much more like a brother. Of like, you gotta learn this, buddy. Like you're not as cool as you think. And I like that kind of you can see Anakin's kind of like anger with him a little bit in that scene as well, which is fun.
Yeah, because Obi-Wan's a little more antagonistic than you would think he was, and we can really because you don't really see it in the.
We never see Obi-Wan train Anakin in any Star Wars movie, and in any show, we never see Obi-Wan train Anakin.
Why not?
Okay. So when everybody complains about plot holes in Star Wars and the fact that Reva might have broken the canon, just remember we've never seen Anakin and Obi-Wan as a student and teacher. That's it.
Even though. In the first movie, episode 1, Obi-Wan promises Qui-Gon, "I will train the boy."
Yeah, we never see it.
Like we never see you train.
It happens off screen. Happens off screen in books.
Yeah, but very cool to see it. I love it, and I love how they keep on cutting it back and using it as part of the story throughout the episode.
One thing I really loved, and don't worry, I will have criticisms in this as well. But one thing that I really loved.
Oh, do you?
I do have some criticisms.
Okay, cool.
But one thing I really loved about this is that with the flashback fades, it's Obi-Wan's not the one thinking about this moment. It's Anakin.
Yes. So we'll get back to that when it goes. But
but like that broke just when it first cut to Vader, and I was like, oh my god, right? He is Anakin, like remembering his old life, and like that was so sad to me. I was like, it just kind of broke my heart.
I know.
What did you think overall of this episode? I want to know like your vibe of the overall episode, and then are you excited for the next one? This is your favorite?
Very, very. This is my favorite by far, easily.
Oh wow, okay.
So I was saying I'm surprised that you have criticism because I don't really have.
I got some. It's probably one of my favorite of the episodes, but
yeah. Okay. No, I think this one is my favorite. It was the most enjoyable. It went pretty hard, and it was fucking awesome to watch. And out of all the ones, it has, like I just said, I mean, it has my least amount of criticisms. I'm sure maybe if I think really hard, I can think of one or two main ones. No, but it was awesome
It
for
was
sure.
really awesome. My big criticism is I didn't think the actual like invasion of the bunker, like that they were in, like was I didn't think it was choreographed very well at all. Like it was very like
That's fair.
There was not like a moment of action, and that was kind of Obi-Wan like deflecting all the bullets, but it wasn't like choreographed very well. Where like they could have had an awesome moment of Obi-Wan like really deflecting everything and like guarding them, and it
Yeah,
didn't
and you
have
only
that
see it
moment.
happen once or
It's just
twice.
kind of shaky and
Yeah.
like nobody gets shot, and it's like okay, all right.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
my only problem with the episode, and that was like that could have been a really cool scene, but
That's
I
true.
think it's budget wise, and then we're gonna get a lot of Obi-Wan doing Jedi stuff in the next episode.
So speaking of budget,
Mhm.
why don't you think they did some more de-aging stuff with Hayden Christensen and all that?
I was thinking about this. My guess is that it probably looked really bad. Like my guess is it just gave that like uncanny valley thing where you like can kind of tell that it's not really him because
But
oh
no, go. Sorry. Go.
I remember in the watching of the making of Book of Boba Fett on Disney Plus, they talked about like this technology a lot because obviously it's now becoming really important. And the reason that they're doing it with Luke is because they have so much footage of Mark Hamill at that age that they can like
Okay.
move his face to, and it's like that's like one of the benefits to why they're doing it like they can do with Mark Hamill. Is like there's only one movie of Anakin looking that way. Where like
Interesting.
there's
Okay, that's a
three
really good
movies
point.
of Mark Hamill looking pretty similar.
Similar.
So
Yeah.
you know,
Okay.
I think
that's
that
a good
might be
point.
part of it. Is like that tech is still being worked on. It maybe didn't look as good as just having it be Hayden Christensen.
That's fair. All right.
But that was my thought.
Yeah.
I did think that
I
Obi-Wan's haircut looked real bad. Like his like wig looked really bad, and I think it was
Yeah.
supposed to. Like he's like growing out the mullet still. Like
Well,
that's
hey,
what
it
I
looked
took it
just as
as.
bad as it did in episode 2, so it's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, of course, of course. But I just like it was like this is a funky looking haircut. I really liked this episode overall. I really liked everything that they do with Vader. I called the Reva thing. I called that.
Yeah, you did, man. You nailed
I
it.
called that from like the first episode, and that she's been
Yeah.
acting like this big bad person the whole time.
Just to get to Vader.
She has, I think, like one of the best acting moments of the show, which is like so funny that everybody thinks she's like this terrible actress because she's been killing this role. But there's a moment where like Vader, we'll get there. I guess we'll get there when her and Vader have some stuff. But
Yes.
I really like that overall. The only thing I don't think the ending of this episode is very satisfying. I don't.
Okay.
I don't like the voicemail call that Organa left Obi-Wan. He's like, hey, if you are captured, I'm gonna go to Tatooine, find the kid, go to Owen. Remember Owen? He's at Owen's farm. I'm gonna go to Owen's farm. It's on Tatooine. It's on Tatooine. I'm gonna go there.
Just giving directions.
I'm like, dude, you could have
Why
said that in a
did- so-
coded way.
Or Obi-Wan's on this like top secret mission. He's like doing this like secretively and doesn't want people to know. Like, why isn't he deleting these messages as he's getting them?
I thought of that too. I was like, buddy, delete that shit. Delete
Come
it.
on, it's gonna come back and haunt you.
I know. I knew that. And the minute he gave it to Kamal Nanjiani, I was like, there goes. That's the plot device now that we're gonna see. And it.
I
sure
did
shit.
love that he came back though. I love
did.
that we saw him again.
I hope he's in more. I'm really curious where this episode goes next, but I felt the ending was unsatisfying. Like it didn't end on a big moment for it being like the last ending of an episode before the end of the show.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
But the show really hasn't had many cliffhangers, so I guess that's kind of to be expected.
No, I had 2 back-to-back the same cliffhangers of
Oh yeah,
Leia getting taken.
they've gotten taken twice. Yeah. Ooh. So okay, we'll kind of break it down like we normally have. The beginning of this episode, we get the little flashback. Then we get to kind of Obi-Wan doing Obi-Wan things, Reva talking to Darth Vader, and that's all cool stuff. I really love that the flashback is like talking about Vader and like his biggest issue is that he's like got to prove himself and stuff, and he always like he doesn't wait. He's not patient, and we're seeing that like that's true. And then obviously Obi-Wan uses that to his advantage. Like throughout the whole episode, he's still basically teaching Vader, which I thought was very clever.
Yeah. Well, plus that whole like, I mean, the flashback as you watch the whole thing, it kind of foreshadows what happens in episode 3, where where Obi-Wan is like, hey, like your need to prove yourself is going to be your undoing. You're too prideful. You're too hasty. You're too all these things, and all of those things is what led to him getting 3 of his limbs chopped off and almost dying on Mustafar.
Yeah,
that was very cool.
I thought it was really cool. I think Hayden Christensen's performance as Anakin in this really matched kind of that Clone Wars-y vibe of what he is in Clone Wars, of like kind of cocky, like more cocky than he is in the movies, and like less like fish out of water, and he was a little more like, yeah, I am the chosen one still, which always like in Clone Wars he has that vibe of like, come on, you know who I am. So I thought that was cool. This is where the episode I feel like kind of just has a lot of build up to different plot elements of like, okay, the fucking Leia's robot thing. It's a bad guy.
Love it.
You don't love it. Good. Neither do I. And then it hacks the thing, closes the gate, and I was like, okay, interesting.
Also, since when does a restraining bolt do all those things?
A tracking device. She'd put a tracking device on it or something like that. Did she say it was a restraining bolt?
But Leia, when she gets low, she's like, "Oh, a restraining bolt," and then she picks it off.
No, I know. Did she say restraining bolt?
I think she. Okay. I mean, I think so. Unless I misheard.
You know what? You know what it looked like? I actually think they've done this. Remember in Last Jedi, the Benicio del Toro's character, what's his name, DJ, the like hacker guy who just they randomly find.
I watched that movie once, so I don't remember it.
When he's splicing stuff, he's got these little like card things. These are like half cards, and he's like putting them into the computers. I think that's what was in the droid. Okay. A little slicing device. So
I'll have to go back and watch it again, but I could have sworn she said maybe it is that, and she doesn't know what that is, so she calls it a restraining bolt. Yeah, okay, you know what? You could totally be right. Yeah.
Also, I don't think Leia's overstaying her welcome. I like this was like all she had to do in this episode was like work on the power box.
Yeah, she was just kind of like she was just doing her thing, and we kind of forgot about her.
I'm glad she wasn't running from people and like really involved in the Obi Wan thing.
Running through legs in the fight and shit, and like trying to get out of there.
Everyone's like slipping around, like stormtroopers are falling over. Yeah, no, they didn't have that. Thank God. All right, what did you think of this invasion? Reva comes down. A lot of stormtroopers, purge troopers are around.
Very cool.
Very fun.
Give me big Mando vibes with Moff Gideon when they're in like the little cantina and they're like trying to like get him out of there.
I love seeing that, like the Force of the Empire. It's fun.
Yeah. I thought it was super cool. I thought they were going to do more than just shoot a couple grenades. But I do love how that kind of led us to that conversation with Reva and Obi-Wan and where we learned her whole backstory, which made me like her character a lot more.
She's been acting this whole time.
And the flashbacks to Order 66, very rad.
Anakin cutting through kids. They showed Anakin cutting down kids.
Well, also, they start this episode off with like, hey, some scenes maybe, if you're a sensitive viewer, watch out kind of thing. Yeah. Might be disturbing to some viewers. And it's like, I can kind of see it. It's pretty fucked up.
Thought it was wild. I thought it was really cool to see, which we'll see later, but she kind of sees the flashback again, the parallel to Vader in him. And like, because I think, we were talking about this, I think, on one of these episodes about like, sometimes it's hard to remember like Hayden Christensen, that Anakin is Vader when you watch those movies again, because like the connective tissue hasn't been there. And this is really connecting that of like seeing Anakin as Vader is kind of fun, and like those in and out cuts I thought were really well done.
Well, what I really love about how they use the flashback cuts throughout the episode is it's also mirroring Vader's emotions at the time when they're doing the flashback. So it'll zoom in onto Anakin's face, and what you're seeing Anakin feel, 20 years back, whatever it was, is the same that he's feeling at this moment in this episode. It's very cool. And I think it's an amazing way to bring in those flashbacks and have it tie in super well with the storytelling of this episode.
I'm about to watch this episode again after this. This is so good.
It's so good, dude.
It's so good.
Oh my God.
You're turning me around in this episode.
It's rad, dude. You're looking at the because one of my coworkers hasn't seen. He doesn't really love Star Wars.
Okay.
But he was asking. He was like, "Oh, does anything good happen on Wednesdays? Like, what should I do after work?" And I was like, "Kenobi comes out Wednesday night. Whatever." Yeah. And so he was like, "Oh, is the show good? Whatever." And then we ended up looking at the IMDb scores for each episode, and it was like, episode 1 was 74, episode 2 was 73, 3 was 75, 2 was 68, whatever it was, and then 5 was 84 or something like that. And I was like, that got me really excited because I watched this right after work today.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, this one's gonna be fucking sick.
Yeah, I mean, we're really gonna dive into the meat of this, the good stuff later. But I really like the Reva backstory. I cheered like to myself that I called this from like the very beginning. I was just very excited.
Seeing him with his little hood up with Anakin just like slicing people.
Yeah, slicing people. And I love Obi-Wan guessing it and kind of calling her out on it, and that line of like,
I know. And you can like see his he's thinking about it, the gears are turning, he's like, oh shit,
you're hunting him.
You were there. That's the only way you could have known that he's Anakin, because he keeps that like close to the chest.
And imagine this, viewers of Star Wars that have 6 episodes of a show, you're not going to get all the answers in episode 2. So when you're like, how does this girl know that he's Anakin? This is bullshit. They've ruined the franchise. They're probably going to fucking explain it. The Grand Inquisitor can't die. He's in the Rebels. They killed him. They've ruined the franchise. Guess what, guys? Motherfucker's not dead.
We were talking about this off air, obviously.
I hate this about the fan base right now.
The fan base has been pretty toxic the past couple weeks, and it's just like, guys,
holy shit,
sit back and enjoy it. Like,
that's my thing. I love Star Wars more than the next person. Like, I know that we are way too into it. I have problems.
Sure.
Star Wars has always had bad stuff. And so, like, when something bad on an episode happens, I usually just kind of forgive it because that's what Star Wars is at this point. Like,
Yeah.
there hasn't been, like, a perfect Star Wars thing since probably Rogue One. Like, and there's still this weird squid monster in Rogue One that they use, like, a boogalabligget, and then, like, that whole scene happens and it's horrible. So there's still bad stuff in Star Wars. So, like, we can chill. We can chill. Let bad stuff happen in Obi-Wan, too. It's okay.
And even if you don't love it, don't go fucking spew your shit all over the internet. And like, it's just like, come on, guys.
Just so
like,
weird.
We get it. You don't like it.
Yeah, it's just funny. I just thought it was really funny. All the stuff that people are calling out, they've like answered in this episode.
Like, all gets resolved in this episode.
In this episode.
The only thing, I guess, one of my critiques of this episode is specifically with the flashbacks. And I guess it kind of ties into Reva Storage because that includes some of the flashbacks and storytelling. I don't love that we waited 5 episodes in a 6-episode series to get these flashbacks, and I feel like it was very cool to see them. They were like some of my favorite parts of this episode, but it didn't feel super earned. It just kind of felt like we were waiting for it, and it's just like, oh, now we finally get it. And I wish we kind of got a little bit sprinkled in, maybe episode 2 or 3 or whatever it was, or while he's having his nightmares that we saw in episode 1, like get some flashbacks there.
I agree. I think you're right. I think like they had a really good opportunity with that 3rd episode when he starts seeing Anakin. Like, once he knows Anakin's back and he saw, like, Hayden Christensen as Anakin, they should have started having him either see Anakin more or, like, remember some stuff. And then these flashbacks still could have happened in this exact way, but this is Vader's memory and not Obi-Wan's. And they could have always 100%. Had, like, Obi-Wan remembering stuff. And then, you know, I love that Obi-Wan could be remembering the bad stuff. And like that could, I don't know, they could have done some fun stuff with that. And I do agree, it is a missed opportunity to not have more of this.
Yeah. And maybe I don't think we'll get more in episode 6. I think episode 6 is going to be
I bet we will. I bet we will.
And you think so?
I think we'll get something.
Hopefully it's also longer than 40 minutes.
I hope it is. I mean, it's got to be. It's got to be. There's so much stuff to resolve after this. They got a lot happen in this show after this episode. Okay. So Reva comes down. They have this conversation.
Right.
Then they invade.
Mm-hmm.
Then they invade.
You didn't love this.
Didn't love it because it was just not interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't love it either.
Yeah.
I was more just like super high on the fact that the first, whatever this was, 15 minutes of this episode was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. It was very like, there's 50 dudes back here firing into a tiny little room.
And like, no one's in cover. That's the thing that bothered me. Everyone was just standing still.
They have the one person... What I love is like they're missing all these people with the shield, and the shield gets hit like 9 times, and it's like, really, that's what you're going to hit?
That's
like,
what you guys are aiming for?
Come on, guys.
I just think they should have had an Obi-Wan moment where he's really out there defending everybody. I thought that would have been really cool.
I know, and you see him deflect like 1 bolt, so like you barely see it.
But Hunter, he does do a thing where he runs up and he jumps and slashes at a bullet, and that was really cool. So I just want to point that out. That was really cool.
He does some super rad stuff where he's like he's doing his stuff and he kills one stormtrooper, and then he like stabs the other one behind him. I was like, that's like we're getting back to kind of like. Kind of prequel Obi-Wan where he's like more in his groove, more doing his stuff. But I agree, they didn't use him very well, like in terms of the show and him protecting these people.
It just could have been a moment.
2 people die.
Yeah, nobody dies.
But how cool is it? How cool is it seeing Roken with his Wookiee bowcaster?
That was super.
The bowcaster was super cool.
That was super cool. That was one of the things I was like, I like that. I like that Roken's still around. I hope we get more Roken because I like the actor a lot. So all right. We're seeing the rebellion be built. They're becoming soldiers now, which I think is really cool. And we know Andor takes place around this same time. So that we're going to really start to see... I think we're going to see a lot of these characters in Andor, and the background characters of this, like Roken and probably Haja and stuff, will start to mix in, I think.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to get some times with the path in Andor?
Yeah, I bet the path is going to become very important. I think it's such a cool idea, too.
Do you... I don't think. I mean, maybe you do, maybe you don't. But I'm very interested to see if people can figure out. There's that one scene where Obi-Wan opens up the chest and it's all the lightsabers and it's the old Jedi robes. I wonder if there's any very distinct lightsabers and being like, "Hey, this is Quinlan Voss's or whoever it is or something."
I love that where he opened it up and saw the lightsabers.
Yeah, and he's like touching them and being like, "Oh shit!" Like I'm sure he recognized 1 or 2 of them.
I know that was really cool.
Yeah.
I also there's a bunch of markings again. They found like another path thing with all like the carvings. People like carve their names.
Yeah.
And there's some old Legends characters on there, which was kind of cool. I just thought,
Oh,
like,
interesting.
like
All right. I was going to ask you if anybody decoded that Arabesh.
they
101
did,
stuff.
yeah. The Corwin, I think, is one of the characters' names, and he was like a guy that, like, an old Jedi that was helped other Jedi's when the Emperor was like kind of doing his thing, but back in like the '90s in the books. So they kind of confirmed that he's been around and doing stuff. So
Very cool.
yeah,
Right.
so just some stuff. I didn't think like a ton of stuff, but there was just a little, and a lot of notes of like "May the Force be with you" and all that stuff. So
Yeah, I do like how they're tying in some, because I mean that's obviously Legends. I do love how they're tying in some Legend stuff with like Quinlan. How I'm hoping again, because I don't think outside of nothing in Disney published stuff has him living past Order 66 besides this.
oh, okay.
Or background stuff. I could be completely
No, I
wrong.
think you're probably right. Yeah.
But I know with like more Dark Disciple stuff, which is before Order 66, but it fleshes out his character a lot more. So I'm hoping we get some more like, I hope they're kind of calling back to that and being like, hey, like Quinlan Voss feels bad for turning to the dark side, so he's like doing all this extra stuff to like atone for his sins and all that.
That would be cool. I hope we see more of him. I think he's a cool character to find.
He was very cool.
Yeah, like live action. I think you can have fun with him. He's a very fun Jedi.
He is cool.
All right, so then the invasion happens, and then
Right.
they stop. What happens here?
No, I mean, I think we kind of keep on going. We see that one chick get shot in the gut, and like Obi Wan
Tala
like,
dies.
Tala dies, and he like, so that the chick dies
different
before
girl.
or
Yeah,
gets shot.
You're right.
And then he doesn't like. I thought it was cool because he obviously cares for Tala, but like for this one chick, he just like runs ahead, grabs her, and like runs away. And then when Tala dies, he like ignites his lightsaber and tries to fight through people to like save her. And I was like, oh, cool. He like really cares for her. Also, cool. I was totally wrong about the droid being a clone, being Wrecker or somebody, because like
I wanted to talk to you about this because there's a scene. Well, she tells her whole backstory, which was very cool. And we'll talk about that because I actually think she's a very cool character.
Her a lot more. Awesome.
But there's a scene where she is talking to the robot, and the robot's like looking down at her, and it's in the background, like Obi-Wan's talking to Haja or something, and like the robot's like looking down at her, and I was like, oh my god, he's kind of moving like a robot. Hunter's right, and like I'm waiting this entire time, and then like when he gets shot, I'm like, he's gonna take off the mask, and it's gonna be a clone, and then like he just dies, and I was like, oh, it's still a cool death, but like I was waiting for like this reveal, and nope.
That's fucking lame.
But yeah, he died. I thought that was very sweet that he like protected her and took all the shots.
Her. I also love her like killing herself. So like
thermal detonator.
Stopping everything.
That's how this invasion starts. That's right. Okay.
Yeah. Going back to her backstory. Her backstory is really cool. It really fleshes out a character. It's awesome. I love her like inside her holster. She has all like the tick marks and all that.
Yep, I thought that was very cool.
I thought of her being. Sorry.
No, I think you're going where I'm going. So keep going.
I was just like the fact of her being on the Inquisitorial squad and all that. Like that's awesome.
Yeah, I love that she was just an Imperial turned good. And that she didn't like steal the uniform and the clearance and all this. She was like, no, we like killed kids, and I was like, I can't do that anymore. Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was really cool. They've had really different Star Wars characters in this, which I think is just kind of fun. I like that, Dave Filoni is very good at, I know that he's not involved like directly with the show, but like he's always been very good at like having different sides of what we're seeing, like the conflict. And I love that now we get like an Imperial that betrayed like her government and got to see that. I thought that was very cool. So,
yeah, totally.
Yeah, I just like all that stuff. And then, so that stops the invasion. The thermal detonator thing stops the invasion, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And now we're in like where Vader comes, right? Oh no, Obi-Wan surrenders. Obi-Wan surrenders.
Yeah. Oh, you're totally right. Yeah,
Obi-Wan surrenders. Yep, he surrenders.
Yeah, and like Roken has that. He's like, hey, like I fought for all this. Like you can't throw that away.
Mm-hmm.
But it's cool because like Obi-Wan knows like, hey, like there's a bigger plan here. I'm not just giving up. Like I know this. What does he say? Something when he's talking to Reva and he's just like, oh, that's when he's in chains.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just like how do I know that he won't see this coming? Because Obi-Wan's like, hey, we can take him together. You can get Vader if you're working with me. And she's just like, hey, like how do I not know? How do I know that like this is gonna work and that he's not gonna like see this coming? And Obi-Wan just says, because all he'll see is me. Yeah, and like that's just so cool. Like Vader's just so blinded by rage and like only wants Kenobi.
And I love too. He has that line too where he's like, "You're not bringing me to him. I'm bringing him to you."
Yeah,
and I was like, "Yeah, like Obi-Wan is being a badass.
Like, fuck yeah, man.
He's being conniving little general. I love it. He's the negotiator. That's what he's always been. General Grievous calls him that. He's negotiating. Thought that was very cool. I just love this idea that the Reva thing, which I just would love this idea of what her character was and what it ended up being. interested by the end of this episode, but we'll talk theories there. But okay, Vader comes.
Mm-hmm.
Obi-Wan does his little runaway thing, which I always thought was just really weird that like he left her and Vader to each other. I thought like they were gonna fight together.
Yeah,
and he just dips.
Well, yeah, because because Reva like orders him back into she orders 2 stormtroopers to take him back into the bunker and then closes the door.
Yeah,
and it's like, why'd you do that? And then we get the silhouette shot, like the shadow shot of him like killing those 2 stormtroopers and running away.
And then they're on the ship. Leia figures out that the little droid's the bad guy, and then she helps it out, and boo, we're all good. Haja runs. He drops the communicator. We've already talked about this great voicemail plot device. And then Vader comes in. And I love his, like, what he's been doing lately, the fast walk. Dude, he's like on a fucking mission. Dude. It's so great. And then he does, like, he just throws the doors open like nothing. And Hunter. Yeah. Okay. I've watched this episode. I watched this part twice because this part's, like, the coolest thing. There are 2 spaceships you can see the whole time. I just want to say that.
Okay. I was going to talk about that because I didn't notice that.
There are 2 spaceships you can see the whole time. I really looked for that because we basically did what we did in Rise of Skywalker here, but it's way fucking cooler. Because the ship takes off, Hunter, and Darth Vader just grabs it. He just grabs the fucking ship and he just pulls it back down. It was so cool. And then he just rips open the side of it.
And when he's ripping all that stuff off, he is angry, dude. That dude is pissed. Very cool. I did not see this coming. I totally thought we were going to get some kind of fight with like Obi-Wan or anything.
This was way cooler.
Him just ripping off the ship was awesome. And then you just see it fly off in the background, the second ship, and he's just like, fuck, you got me.
Like I got again, this motherfucker.
I got.
I just love Vader has that moment. Guy. Like, God, dude, he did it again. He knows me so well. I just thought it was so clever. I thought it was great. To see him catch a spaceship, like. Yeah, and we saw Rey hold on to the spaceship in Rise of Skywalker, the one with Chewbacca, where she infamously shot lightning, blew it up. But thank God there was another ship. Thank God, we needed that. But I thought this worked just as well. I thought that was a great moment in Rise of Skywalker until the other stuff happened. But him just grabbing it and pulling it back down was so cool.
Very cool. Yeah. And I love that. Like you could see him struggling, and you could see him like. It took a good 30 seconds or whatever it was. Like, it wasn't just like, hey, like, boom, boom, you're down. It was like he was struggling. He was really, anchoring in and using the dark side to get that down there.
Yeah. Cool. And I think, I was thinking about this earlier today, too, because I think what we'll get now a lot with people talking about Darth Vader is like, why isn't he like this in the original movies? Like, if he's so powerful. Yeah. I love that you can kind of think about with Darth Vader is like all the times that he's interacting with people in the next, like, the trilogy of movies. He's like only interacting with like his kids or like an old man that like he knows like I can fucking kill this old guy.
True, very true.
I just like there's kind of this kind of headcanon you can almost put of like, well, he doesn't want to go all out against Luke ever because like he knows that it's his kid and he's not about that.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was kind of interesting. Okay. Totally. Then Reva comes up and Hunter. There's a move where Darth Vader goes like he drops his hand down, pushes his hand over, flips his hand up, and pushes her back, and just he fights her with just the Force. We've never seen that before.
Stopping all the blades and stuff and like whipping it around.
I know.
Fucking awesome,
so
dude.
Cool.
This was one of the coolest fights in all of Star Wars.
Yeah, this was so fun. It was so great. There's been side-by-sides of the final arc of Clone Wars with Ahsoka and Order 66 and how she gets away. She stops the spaceship with Darth Maul with the Force, just like Darth Vader does here. There's a scene where Vader holds both the lightsabers in the end of this that she also does that exact same pose in Order 66. So some fun parallels. Dude, when he just fights this girl with the Force and he's just schooling her.
Really cool.
It's so cool. And then he disarms her, snaps her lightsaber apart, and throws her one.
Gives her one back.
Oh my God. And then he just fucking schools her again.
Why wasn't he just using his? I mean, he had his, right? We saw it on his belt.
I think that was the point. I think that was the point of like, I don't even.
He was just like, hey, I don't even need to right now. Yeah. You're so far below me. Like, this isn't even close.
And so I think that's kind of what he was doing. And then he has that, I mean, she disarms him. He takes the lightsaber she's holding and then Force grabs the other lightsaber. I was like, dude, this guy's a bad man. We're going to see an awesome
fight. Because I don't think it's cutting back, but we see before in that fight with Obi-Wan and Anakin in the flashback, Anakin gets Obi-Wan's lightsaber out of Obi-Wan's hand.
Yeah, he disarms him.
He's like, hey, like
it's over.
Surrender. Like, you don't have a weapon. You can't win. And like Obi-Wan fucks him up and then takes his lightsaber with the Force, which is what he does to her.
Yep.
Very cool.
It's very cool. I love that. I just love the parallels of like he's still learning from Obi Wan. I think is so fun. Yeah, and so you get that, and then he stabs her straight up, and
I totally thought he was gonna do the episode 3 Dooku decapitate because he had both lightsabers just sitting there. I was like, oh, she's gonna pull a Dooku.
So what I think is interesting is this moment is particularly interesting with Reva because she's not dead at the end of this episode. So she was stabbed as a kid by Anakin, is what it looks like.
I was gonna ask about this. Like, she has that, she talks, it's heartbreaking about Order 66, where she's like, hey, like, I played dead. I felt my friends' bodies go cold. Like, I sat there for presumably days or whatever it was, a day. And I was going to ask because they're intercutting young Reva with current day Reva and flashbacks of her looking up at Vader and her looking up at Anakin.
Yeah.
And you can see his lightsaber glow on her face in the flashbacks. So I wasn't sure. I was going to talk to you about this. If she did get stabbed in those.
That's what it looks like. So I watched this part twice because I wanted to see just the Vader thing again after the episode. And it does look that he, as Anakin, also stabbed her in that exact same place, and he remembered. That like Vader did this on purpose.
I love that he was like, you think I didn't remember or whatever he says. Like,
and then he calls her youngling.
He calls her youngling.
Yeah.
Fucking
dude.
This cool,
show's so cool. But yeah, so he stabs her. This was awesome. This is a great episode. He stabs her in that same place, and then the Grand Inquisitor comes in. I love that, just like fuckery, and he even calls her the Grand Inquisitor. Like I just thought that was great. Yeah, Grand Inquisitor, and then he just puts it on the thing. Great thing. Then they all leave, and she picks up the message.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's broken, but don't worry. It's broken, but Hunter, it still says these keywords.
You get the most important words.
Obi-Wan, or Kid, Tatooine, Owen.
Yep.
So Reva's going to Tatooine. I don't think Vader is, though. And I think the Reva thing is going to close out in a different way. I don't think she's going to die. I wanted to talk to you about
I don't think she is either.
Roken said the starship's hyperdrive was dead, right?
Yes. Yeah. So
they're
at the
stranded.
End of the episode, they're stranded in space. Yeah.
Okay. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's... this planet's not in the same system as like Mustafar, right? No.
I don't know where Jabim is.
Okay.
I'm not sure. So I can tell you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm curious, like, are they going to go back to the Mustafar castle? Because that'd be just such a cool fight for Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Well, no, yeah, it's not in the same because last we saw Vader, he was on the Fortress Inquisitorius, and then he was traveling through hyperspace to get to Jabim.
And they hyperspaced over. Yeah. Okay. Cool. They light speed. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just interested where this goes next. What Reva does.
Yeah, because I agree. I mean, obviously she's not going to die. She's going to use this info. But how does she get saved? What does she do? How does she not die? We'll see what happens.
And the show has not broken canon so far, so I doubt it will.
I don't think it will.
Luke can't know anything.
Especially because... Sorry?
Luke can't know anything.
Right? Because he's completely with everything.
He's never seen a lightsaber.
Yep.
Because when Obi-Wan gives him a lightsaber, it's the first lightsaber he sees.
Yeah.
So like he can't really know anything. And he can't know that his dad is like obviously a Jedi or anything. So like the Reva thing has to get resolved without Luke knowing that she is hunting him because of Jedi stuff.
Yeah, so how is this going to happen? Because she knows exactly where they live. She knows like on Tatooine, and also like where the farm is, because in that episode 1 or 2 or whatever, when she confronted Owen, she's like, "Oh, farmer, like family, kids."
Yeah.
So I'm assuming she knows where the farm is. So I don't know if Obi-Wan's going to intercept. I don't know if obviously it's going to be Obi-Wan, but
I imagine it's Owen. I think Owen defends the family.
But against her?
I don't think she's going to fight. I don't think it's going to be for fighting. I think he's going to convince her to walk away.
Okay. Because there were parts where like Obi-Wan was kind of breaking through Reva and was like, there were parts where I was like, oh, she's going to flip and she's going to work with Obi-Wan. So maybe you're right. Maybe she could.
She's not like going to go hunt young Jedi. Like I don't think she's going to. No. Yeah. But I think she's going to learn maybe that these are the kids of Skywalker.
Yeah. But I think that there's parts of her where she could flip and not be a good guy, but not be obviously the evil person that she was. Because throughout the episode, there are moments where it was like, hey, like she might turn into a good guy.
I don't think she's as bad as she was acting.
No?
Like she was acting. Oh no, she was acting the hell out of it. She was going full into the role, but she's there to kill Anakin. Like she's not there to do Empire shit.
But she's still doing bad shit. Doesn't mean
she cut off that woman's hands.
Yeah, she killed that. She killed that other Jedi.
Yeah, yeah, he's dead. Well, she had to be acting. She had to get up to
Yeah,
that role.
that's fair. You gotta
Um,
do what you gotta do.
what do you think happens with Vader and Obi Wan? Because obviously they're gonna fight. They
I was
have to
gonna
fight.
say there's one more fight. I still kind of hope that we get that scene of I don't remember if we've talked about it on the show or if
The
you
concept
just
art
me. Oh no, what was the concept art?
that shows Vader without his helmet, and they're like fighting. Like it's like the top half of the Vader helmet is off, and it's like Anakin's head.
Oh, I haven't seen that. That's
Oh
awesome.
yeah, I think they were seeing that next episode, like Hayden Christensen as Vader fighting him.
Okay, well, because I think we've talked about it for sure. I don't know if it was here or not. But end of episode 6, when Vader's dying, Luke is trying to take him off the Star Destroyer. I guess he does take him off because they
Oh,
burn him on Endor. But he has that like gross little
mm-hmm.
fucking cut on the side of his head. And I think in episode 2, when we see him in the Bacta tank, when we first see Vader in this
Yeah,
series, I don't think he has
he
that scar.
doesn't.
So I'm
We talked
thinking,
about this. Yeah,
yeah. So I'm thinking in this last fight, we are going to see maybe it is that concept art, and Obi Wan gets a graze, or he breaks the
yeah,
helmet, kind of like how Ahsoka did in Rebels.
yeah. We're
But
definitely
somehow
seeing
Obi Wan's
that.
going to give him. Yeah,
We're seeing a broken masked Vader next episode where you see Anakin. They have to.
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
So
Oh
is it like? Have you seen those like light side Vader concept arts where he just has the respirator, just like the triangle? Is it kind of like that? Is that what you're talking about?
no, it shows like it does with Luke. Like when Luke takes off his helmet, like it shows
Okay.
like that
Okay.
thing.
He has a little
So
harmonica thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think we'll see that. I'm so excited. I can't wait. I hope it's long. I hope it's like over an hour.
That's what, like I'm hoping it's like close to not movie length. I don't want like
It
two
won't
hours,
be.
but
It'll
like
be. It's gonna. Don't get your hopes
if
up,
it's like
bro.
an hour 20, oh my god.
Disney Plus has never done that,
Give me a good like 1980s Disney cartoon animated movie length. You know what I mean?
dude. I'm into that. Hour and 20 minutes. I
Yeah.
just wonder how they're gonna wrap this up. Like I don't think they're all going to Tatooine. I just don't think that's what's gonna happen. I don't think Obi
I
Wan's
just
going to
think there
Tatooine.
isn't like they're kind of. I've been super positive on the show this whole time, but like they have a lot to wrap up in this last episode. Like
Yeah.
they haven't been doing. They haven't been doing a bad job. They've been doing a great job of like wrapping things up as they're going. It's just kind of piling on top of each other.
But that's how a movie sometimes works, and everything gets
That's
resolved in
true.
Act Three, and this is the the last half of Act Three. So
Yeah,
we'll get
yeah,
all of
you're
our
right.
resolutions. I'm thinking we got the Reva one, and I think that was huge, and that'll satisfy a bunch of people.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on this episode? Anything? Just
Yeah, I mean, I think it's easily my favorite. It's number one in terms of the episodes for sure.
yeah.
I loved how we kind of just getting more and more brutal, or at least episode 3 was pretty brutal. Like this is a
Vader
next
is
level.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not a next level. But the flashbacks were cool.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I thought it was my favorite. I kind of wish we got more flashbacks as the series was going, but I'm glad we got them now, and I don't know, stoked to see where it goes.
Yeah, yeah, no, I feel the same way. The flashbacks were great. I thought, like I said, I didn't love the invasion thing. I thought it was kind of messy.
Yeah.
But once Vader, all the Reva stuff happened, Reva, kind of revealed her true motives, and Vader arrived. I mean, seeing Vader fight somebody without touching a lightsaber is a top Star Wars moment. It's so cool.
100%.
He caught a starship. He caught a starship.
There were some fucking
So cool.
awesome
So cool.
Vader moments.
And I hope we just see some crazy stuff next episode.
Yeah, I do think that this episode is hopefully going to do a lot to change people's minds about Reva, because it changed my mind about her for sure. Like it made me like her a lot more.
Yeah.
And I'm sure going back and watching this series again, whenever I do next, I'll obviously won't have the same negative thoughts towards Reva, which is great. So
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see how they wrap her story up. That's like the big thing. I'm really curious. How do we wrap up her, like, because I don't think she's gonna die at this point. She's been stabbed.
Oh,
She didn't die. So
Well, I think that she'll die at the end of the episode.
I wonder
next-
how. I'm so
next
curious.
episode.
Like she's stabbed by a lightsaber.
But I think like we kind of like
What
we
happens?
don't see her in Rebels. We don't
Yeah.
obviously she's not in any other like.
You don't think
original
she'll be in
trilogy
Obi Wan
sequel
Kenobi,
trilogy
the
stuff.
series?
God, I hope there isn't a part 2.
I think there's
going
gonna be a season 2. This show's doing too well.
Didn't they come out and say like, "Hey, this is like we have 6 episodes. We're going to tell our story and that's it."
Yeah.
I don't want them to do.
I'd,
I don't want them to do.
I would not be surprised at this point for how well this show's doing. on
Disney,
Disney
you
Plus.
have enough money. You don't need it.
It's their best show ever. That's what Disney does.
Leave
man.
it at that.
They just
Don't ruin it.
they spin them out. That's what they do. Thank you so
I
much.
really hope that's the case.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Thank you so much for watching the Part 5 reaction of Obi Wan Kenobi on the Dagoboys. We will see you next week for the season finale of Obi Wan Kenobi.